Alright, let's do this one last time. As you can probably tell by this channel, I really enjoy fighting games, but I've never got into Tekken before in my life. The only true exposure I've really ever had at Tekken was Kazuya in Smash. Now, I knew what Tekken was, but I did not know what Tekken was. Now, I saw 7 on sale one day and said, fine, I'll get it, and played with my friends a little bit. And I looked at the command list and almost quit right there. And I just did not know what to do in the games. My friends would just do shit like this, and I had to bear witness while I could do nothing but watch.
Does he know?
Bro, please.
Ooh,
Bro, please stop. Bro, please. Why are you
Ooh,
doing this, bro?
Does he know?
And now I'm traumatized. But after a few hours in training mode and looking at things, I was sitting there like this.
Oh my god. I get it.
And this led me to make the decision, I will buy Tekken 8 at launch. But also got me to play the free demo. And once I played the free demo, I am in love. Now at the same time for content, I was thinking, you know what, let's do what I did with Street Fighter. Play every single Tekken game. At the same time, this is going to be looking at Tekken 1 to 7 from the experience of someone who doesn't know what Tekken is. A complete newbie, mind you. But I'm going to tear into these games and understand what the fuck a Tekken is. Obviously starting with honestly, bro, this game is just jank and carnage. When people say you're doing a cheap move, normally you're like, haha, just get good scrub. Everyone has cheap moves, and there's no way around it. There's no practice mode, just arcade and versus, with a moderate cast of characters. The base roster: Kazuya, Paul, Law, King, Yoshimitsu, Jack, Nina, and Michelle. During the arcade mode, you fight some secret characters that I know there's a way to unlock and play them, but I just wasn't able to do it, and I'm not going to spend the time to do that. These characters included Heihachi, Kuma, Prototype Jack, Armored King, Lee, Wang, Anna, Ganryu, and Kunimitsu. Also, super secret character, Devil Kazuya. The funny thing is, there's actually an important story in this game, crazy enough. It starts off nice and simple, a family, the Mishima family, with Heihachi and Kazuya. Now, Heihachi is an amazing father and throws his son off a cliff. Reasoning being, he thinks he's a devil. And he goes, if I throw him off a cliff and he dies, he wasn't a devil. But if he lives, he was. Dad of the year right here. Now, later, Heihachi, who is also rich beyond belief, announces that he is holding a King of Iron Fist tournament. Fighters across the world come to fight, like this guy named Paul, who is literally just a guy who is too damn strong. And Kazuya, who is back for revenge and here to fix his daddy issues with blood. Now, I didn't play every character, but I played a few and beat arcade mode once or twice. I started off with Yoshimitsu, and he is really simple. Spin to win. I would hold down and back and just press left kick and watch this man go to town on these people's leg, taking near half health. I had some other things that I did, but this is basically what I spammed. Then I lost focus, I accidentally picked Jack, who was very strange. A weird heavy, not a grappler. We'll get to the grappler later. But he had a good 1-2 that helped me get past a few levels until I eventually was like, I don't want to play this character anymore, and picked Kazuya. My whole goal was to do the common meme across Tekken. Sugarcoat it. I ended up doing it a few times, but lost again, and again, and again, and decided to go, alright, I'm going to pick a new character. The grappler. King. And here's what I found with King. Not a single bot could defend against the 1-2 grab. If they backdash, they got me. But otherwise, left-right grab worked. And if not, I found a half health combo. I think I was accidentally doing part of his 10-hit combo, and I just didn't know it. Now, I couldn't find a way to sidestep, so I assume you just couldn't in Tekken 1. guess it's just not a thing yet. The combat is at its simplest, but still complicated. Most characters have the same moves, like an uppercut and like a jab cross, simple things like that. Also, characters kind of just have win buttons and hit overly way too hard. Like Paul hits you 2 times and now 75% of your health is gone. Why is this man hitting like a truck? Heihachi just one-shots you plenty of times. But it is the earliest iteration of Tekken and still was enjoyable. I was sitting playing on an emulator and was so hyped when I finally grabbed Heihachi and slammed him to the ground. The look of the game is obviously outdated, but it was fun for the quick 3 hours I played of Tekken. I've learned some basic skills like dashing, moves, grabs, and all the directional movement. I get the basics from my experience with Tekken, but now it's time to move on to Tekken 2. Now, actually, before we do get on to 2, some things did happen in Tekken 1 that I do need to clear up. After the tournament, Paul almost wins, but doesn't. Don't worry, this will be very consistent. Ozzy is the winner and gets his revenge on his father by throwing him off a cliff. But, in fact, Heihachi does not die. Don't worry, this will become very consistent. Now, before I continue, I am going to clarify, I am only going over Mishima bullshit. If I was going over every character's story and lore, I would be here till the end of time. Now, if any character's story catches my eye, I will talk about it. Tekken 2 is very similar to 1, moves hit way too hard, everyone has some crazy bullshit, but thankfully this game has a training mode so I can learn this bullshit. Pretty sure they don't cover everything to do in the training mode with the move list because King did some shit to me that I am very sure I could not do on the move list.
He does not know!
The roster has expanded quite a bit. This time the game, instead of Kazuya, has Heihachi as the Mishima. Same as the last game, there's a Jack, now called Jack 2. Law, Paul, King, Michelle, Nina, Yoshimitsu, and this time the characters in arcade mode are actually unlockable. Anna, Armor King, Ganryu, Kunimitsu, Lee, Jack Prototype, Wang, and even Kuma. And Kazuya is unlockable also, and you can unlock his devil form as well. And Kuma's existence is just the funniest thing to me. Heihachi just one day decided to train a fucking bear and cares more about this bear than he does his own family. Kuma is literally the favorite son. And same with Lee. Lee is an adopted son of Heihachi just so Kazuya could have a rival. There are some new characters in this game. There are 2 new characters in the base roster, Jun and Lei. Lei is our second reference to Bruce Lee, and he's more of the drunken master type. And Jun, who is very fun, I don't really know how to tell her is, but she becomes very important later. And there are 2 unlockable new characters, Bruce and Bach. A boxer and a taekwondo guy. I know I butchered his name. Cry about it. But then the next 2 are just strange. It's Alex and Roger. Now if you thought, oh, these are just normal names for normal characters, you'd be wrong. Alex is a velociraptor, and Roger is a kangaroo genetically modified by this Dr. Boskanovich guy. He will be ultra important later. This time I did play a few more characters and beat arcade mode. I started off with Heihachi. He was very similar to Kaz, but he just hits way harder. King, this time I actually learned how to do some of the grabs. I then beat it with Yoshimitsu, and why the fuck does this shit do 80%? Law was pretty much just backflip to win, and Lee, which I spammed these low kicks and not a single bot could contest. This game is less janky than Tekken 1, but everyone still has 2-hit kill moves. Like, King can literally just low kick you a few times and then grab you and you just die instantly. The bosses are a lot harder in this version. There is Kazuya and Devil Kazuya, and I have no idea why Kazuya is doing 10-hit combos on my ass. Like, bro, please. And the final boss, Devil Kazuya, has a unblockable laser that takes half health, and if you're too far away, get fucked. You can't block, and there's no sidestepping in this game, so you're just fucked. I got lucky once and somehow backdashed it. And the final boss really just felt like pure luck. This game does add a lot more like new modes into Tekken. Team Attack, which is just picking multiple characters to fight someone else's multiple characters. Survival Mode, which is what it sounds like, non-stop battles till you drop. And Time Attack, which is just arcade mode, but the faster you do, the better you do. But what I'm starting to love more and more is the music. Paul's theme is amazing, and especially that ending after arcade mode, all amazing music. Oddly enough, Tekken is slowly becoming my favorite fighting game series. Slowly. For Tekken 2, here's what I've learned. I feel like my special inputs like Dragon Punch and other ones have gotten a lot better. Not perfect, but better. I'm understanding the blocking and mechanics to duck under attacks. I've also learned how to dash and use running attacks. It needs a lot more work, but I'll get the hang of it in some time. Beating arcade mode, this leads us to the main story. Heihachi comes back to beat Kaz, he then ends up throwing him into a volcano, which is all the story you really need for Tekken 2. And this ends the game and leads us right into Tekken 3. There is a bit of a time skip between 2 and 3, about 20 years. Now, we have our main protagonist, Jin Kazama. Heihachi now has a military called the Tekken Force. They do some digging and find a literal Aztec god who eats the energy of good fighters. Man, that sounds really familiar. Oh my! Street Fighter copied Tekken. We later learn Jin, his mother is Jun Kazama from the last game, who married and fucked Kazuya. This girl really said, I can fix him. Jun is then killed by Ogre and has her life force absorbed. Jin then, after witnessing this atrocity, finds his grandfather Heihachi and asks him for training. Heihachi goes, well, I got nothing better to do, and agrees. Once he is trained, Heihachi announces the third King of Iron Fist tournament to lure Ogre for his own means so he could use Ogre for power. And just when I thought you were becoming a better person, Heihachi, you're still the same old piece of shit. Tekken 3 has a lot of the classics and a good amount of brand new characters as well. From the base roster, we got Paul, Law, Yoshimitsu, King, Nina, and Lei. These guys seem to be series staples, and you will see them a lot throughout this video. And new characters include Jin, Harong, Eddie, and Xiang Yang. I probably butchered that name. And these guys are some of my favorite. Jin is a mix of Jun, Kaz, and Heihachi. Harong is like Black from the last game, but with cooler stances and crazy fast kick. Eddie is the capoeira menace. It is actually wild that they made a character like this work on the PS1. Zanyu is more of a Beyblade than Yoshimitsu. Now, as always, we got some unlockable characters. Heihachi is an obvious. He plays how he did in 2. Anna, a costume swap for Nina. Brian and Julia and Gunjack. Gunjack is your basic Jack. But Brian and Julia, surprisingly, I didn't know so many characters that are in 7 actually came way earlier in the series. Now, we have a lot more weirdos to cover in this game. Number 1, Dr. Boskanovich. I told you he'd be important. Kuma, the bear, he's back. But this is not the original Kuma. That Kuma died. This is Kuma 2. Heihachi trained another bear, and in this game, he really wants to fight Paul for some reason. And at the end, he finds Zanyu, who now has a panda, and falls in love with this panda. That is literally his story. Mokujin, a literal wooden creature, and its canonical ending is he has a demanding wife. Panda, as I said earlier, a skin for Kuma, and Gone, a literal fucking dinosaur. And not in the sense of Alex where he's a mutated velociraptor with boxing gloves. This is a tiny cartoon dinosaur who is just here for some reason. I'm starting to realize what my friends mean by the story of Tekken is the most insane and all over the place thing in existence, and the best way just to describe the story of Tekken is it's just Tekken. The game does add the one thing I was hoping for so much: sidesteps. Finally, I've been trying to sidestep in every single Tekken game I've played before this. Tekken 3 has evolved even more than the game. It feels way better than the past 2 games. I had issues with strings, I was pressing the buttons but it didn't work, but this game feels way smoother with those. It seems like there is a bit more leeway. Now I can blame myself, not the controller or the game. There's also combo trials, which are great to show you how to do strings. I don't typically use these when I'm playing. Typically I just learn certain moves or launchers. There's a lot of things I'm surprised to see for a game made on the PS1. Like a lot of good single player mode games like Tekken Force, a 2D side-scrolling beat 'em up where you get to use the moves of the Tekken roster. Like how did they even make this? It's a small mini game but still, and I just love when it says
chicken.
It makes me feel something, man. This is what I mean when fighting games need better single player content. And there's one more mode, Tekken Ball, a volleyball game where you fight Gon. Yes, Gon, and try to use the ball to do damage. Now, moving on to the characters I did enjoy, I really enjoyed Harong and Jin, and of course I enjoyed King. Only one of my favorite characters to use, King is slowly becoming the main man, but that might change. And the new addition Harong was a blast. I also felt like I was actually able to learn these characters with practice modes showing different strings and options. Now, arcade mode is standard as always. You fight a bunch of characters, get to Heihachi, and then you fight Ogre. Ogre is a fun boss, but he seems easier than Devil Cause. Devil Cause felt like I won cause of luck. This one, I feel like I held my own better. He does have two forms, Ogre and True Ogre. One is a normal character and the other is another weirdo. His moves seem to be moves from a lot of other characters. He doesn't seem to have a lot of original moves. Now, he may have also felt easier just because I'm getting better. I'm finally getting some launchers down, and King keeps feeling easier and easier each game because I guess I already know so much with him that it transfers over. Obviously, I can't play every character, but still, the ones I do play, I am really enjoying. With this game, it also ends an era of Tekken, the PS1 era. From here on out, the graphics get way better, and a lot more can be added into the games. Which leads us next.
Wait. You've been playing King this whole time? Bro, you know I love King. He's the undisputed king of swing! If you know the inputs, bro will grab you and put you in a health melting cutscene if you can't tech it. And his stage, that music, that pum 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 pum. It's so good! If you gotta play one Tekken game, you cannot go wrong with Tekken 3. Trust. Well, I've hijacked the video long enough with my Tekken 3 glazing. Good luck in Tekken 4.
Sonic Rage, thank you for being a part of my video. And actually, before we get to 4, we need to talk about one more game in Tekken. Tekken Tag. This is the first game on the PS2 and damn it looks way better. Now, tag games are not canon in the slightest, as it has almost every single character in Tekken, except Gon, which is some shit. It also gives me the chance to retcon something I said earlier. Earlier I said Bruce was a boxer. Yeah, my bad guys, this guy is straight Muay Thai. Okay, now that is cleared up. The thing about Tekken Tag is it's literally just Tekken 3 with a new main mechanic, the tag mechanic. You pick two characters instead of one and can switch between the two. But if one character dies, you do lose, and there's no assist. You can just switch with either grabs or plain switching. There's not much different from 3 itself, combat-wise or anything. It's just a new way to play, almost like a graphics update with a new mechanic. The best thing, honestly, is just the character interactions. At the start and end of matches. My main team, Jin and Harong, you could just see the rivalry between these two. And more goofy like Roger and Kuma doing a little dance. Or Lee getting scolded by Heihachi. And the endings are also pretty funny, like Yoshimitsu playing rock, paper, scissors with Roger or Alex, or the army of Mokujins. Game mode is fun, getting to see all these character combos. And the final boss is just some unknown girl with a stand, who can do other characters' moves. Tag is a really fun game, but again, it's just Tekken 3, but a lot better. I still had a ton of fun with Tag. Jin and Harong were the main two I played, and I did try out Armor King, and I think I enjoyed him a bit more than regular King. Not much new was learned, as it's just the same game with new mechanics, but that leads us directly into Tekken 4. 4 is the first true PS2 Tekken game, and it looks really good. Seeing old and new characters is just great. The game is considered the black sheep of the Tekken franchise, basically the most disliked Tekken game. I don't have an idea why, but I think we'll figure out soon. 3 newbies to this game. Marduk, who is just a big and heavy hitter, and I dislike him a lot because he killed Armor King canonically. Fuck you. Christine is basically just Eddie, and she literally has an ult that is just Eddie. Personally, I prefer Eddie, but I think this character is better at marketing, but don't ask me why. And lastly, Steve. I love Steve, my new favorite character. He doesn't do any kicks. His kick buttons are boxer head movements. It makes this so fun when you get a good dodge into a massive counter. Luckily in this game, characters also don't hit like trucks. This game focuses more on the combos and juggling. Well, unless your name is Paul Phoenix, because that man still hits too damn hard. There is one more new addition. Combat. Basically just a Mokujin replacement. I mean, his ending is kind of funny, so I will give you that. He just beats Lee's ass. Second game in a row where Lee gets spanked. Speaking of arcade endings, let's talk about the story. So after 3, Heihachi shoots Jin for some reason. Jin turns into a devil and runs away. Heihachi wants the devil gene for some reason, but then he learns that Kazuya might be alive this whole time. Of course he is. He then finds Kazuya, who is in fact alive, and is having G-Corp help him fuse him and his devil into one. Of course, throwing him into a volcano didn't work, but I just wonder if Heihachi ever feels proud of his son for always coming back to just beat his ass, or he's just like, nah, fuck that kid. But Heihachi tries to capture Kaz, and that doesn't work, so he's like, fuck it. Let's do another King of Iron Fist tournament. This time, if you win, you get the Mishima Zaibatsu. And of course, Kazuya enters, and that's how we get Tekken 4. I love this crazy ass fucking story. Now, the combat in this game is the same, but there's a few things different. I think this is why a lot of people didn't like this one. One of the grabs is the position change, which I don't like. There's things that from Tekken 3 that just don't seem to work all the time. Like, my biggest thing was Harong's double kick. I would hit with the first move, but then the second would just completely miss. Now, maybe I'm just bad, but it did seem like a lot of things were missing when they shouldn't have. Most of the modes are exactly the same as 3 with a story mode. This is just arcade mode with the story elements. And there's a regular arcade mode that doesn't have the story elements. At least in the regular arcade mode, if you do lose, you can switch characters. I love the final boss of arcade and story mode. It is just Heihachi caked up.
Double cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon, hella ass.
Tekken Forces is back as well, and now it is in full 3D. It sometimes fucks my brain when I'm like saying which direction to go, but it's still fun beating the shit out of all these motherfuckers. And then you get to fight combat at the end of the stage. The other thing that I have a little bit of an issue with is the stages. They're hit or miss. I feel like most of the stages are just way too small or just have way too much shit in them, like cars and statues. The only stage I actually liked was the one with the bystanders, because it's kind of funny seeing you beat up the bystanders while you play. I think the camera also goes off wrong, and that may be why my shit's missing. I still enjoyed myself with the characters. I think Steve was really helpful for making me enjoy this. I did play 2 other characters, Jin and Harong. Jin changes, he gives up all the Mishima shit after being shot down by Heihachi. So he took a little bit to learn his new stuff, but Harong is literally exactly the same. I didn't even go into training mode, I just went arcade mode and started fucking people up with Harong. Unfortunately, I did not play King in this one. I don't know why, I just didn't seem enticed to play him. Maybe in the next one I'll play him again. The game was pretty good in my standards. Obviously, I feel like I had more fun in 3. I wasn't learning as much in 4. I think I was just more getting things down. Not learning anything new, but just getting better at what I was already doing. Now, beating the story mode, Kaz and Jin have a tie-in ending. During the tournament, Jin gets kidnapped by Heihachi, and Heihachi moves Kaz to the final round. And during the final round, he shows Kaz that he's holding Jin hostage. Kaz awakens the devil inside him, beats Heihachi, and awakens Jin. Jin wakes up, beats Kaz, then beats Heihachi, and awakens in his devil form, almost killing Heihachi, but showing mercy when he sees his mom. Or at least the memory of his mom. Now this leads us directly into Tekken 5.
What does the word mean?
So, again, I said Tekken 5 begins right after 4, and it literally does. Kaz and Heihachi wake up from their ass beating and are then attacked by G-Corp. Kaz and Heihachi bond a little bit by beating up the Jacks, and then obviously the Mishima family has to be the Mishima family and throw each other under the bus. Bunch of Jacks blow up the Mishima Zaibatsu, ending with Heihachi Mishima is dead, said by this dude. I'll talk a little bit about him later. That man ain't dead. I know because he's also in this game and in the other two games. Come on. The Mishimas just don't die. You can shoot him in the head, you can throw him off a cliff, you can throw him into a volcano. The Mishimas just don't die. Blowing up the Mishima Zaibatsu awakens someone, Jinpachi, the father of Heihachi, who was imprisoned under the Zaibatsu. What the fuck, Heihachi? All because he wanted to reclaim the business? Yeah, probably because you were an asshole. Technically, Jinpachi is dead. This is just a reanimated corpse awakened by a demon who wants to destroy the world. Any good Mishima does, he says, let's do a King of Iron Fist tournament. The reason is so someone can kill him, so he can no longer be corrupt and evil, also so he can kill his bloodline that is very fucked up. Tekken 5 does introduce a few new characters. Number 1 is Raven. I see this man all the time, but he just looks like Blade to me. Asuka Kazama, she is here to play like June. And Fang, this man is cool to play. He's kind of like monk martial arts. And lastly, Devil Jin. He is here because people wanted Mishima style Jin, but obviously we can't have that for story reasons. So, Devil Jin. Also is a second version of Tekken 5 called Tekken DR. It does add 2 other characters, Dragunov and Lily. I did play the original Tekken 5, not DR, but I'll reference DR when I need to. But they're basically the same game, it's just DR is better because it has Armor King. My question is, how did Bandai make a game like Tekken 5 on the PS2? Like, look at this game, it looks so good. And Bandai also gave us arcade modes of 1, 2, and 3. Like, what the fuck? How did y'all even do this? Seriously. I should have just played 5 if I wanted to get my footage for 1, 2, and 3. So where people tend to say legacy skill exists, as most games from here on out are going to play very similar to 5. I actually already see that myself because a lot of stuff that I'm doing with Jin in 7 is the same stuff I'm doing with Jin in 5. Most things in 5 started to become series staples. Things that people expect Tekken to have. Like customization. It's very bare bones in this game, but I can make Fang look like Kiryu, so everything's good. Tekken 5 also has its own Forces mode. Instead of calling it Tekken Forces, it's called the Devil Within. It's still basically just Tekken Forces. It wasn't as fun for me, honestly. It was a little boring. I do applaud Tekken for making something like this, like a whole beat 'em up inside their game. But all the moves are predetermined and you're just pressing 2 buttons over and over. Also, they got rid of this.
Chicken.
So, 0 out of 10. The camera's also weirder than the last Tekken 4, so I just didn't have fun and I didn't play it a ton. But one thing that's way better than 4 is story mode. There's actually more to the story mode than just a cutscene at the beginning and a cutscene at the end, right? I played Jin for my first go around and midway through, Harong's like, bro, come on, bro, fight me. And Jin's like, nah, dude, I got family issues I gotta deal with. And straight up, Harong just says, fuck your family, bro. We throwing hands. This is why Harong's my favorite character. And the endings are either really dark or just so fucking funny. Heihachi's, he just rocket launches his whole family to space. Or Lee's ending, he's just embarrassing Heihachi. The saddest is honestly Mokujin just falls after beating Jinpachi. And as always, we have to show why Kaz is literally the worst and maybe deserved being thrown off a cliff. He beat his granddad Jinpachi, who has fond memories with him, and instead of letting it pass peacefully, he gets that fucky ass smile and slits his throat. Yeah, that kid deserved being thrown off a cliff. Now, the canon ending is Jin, who basically just gets control of the Mishima Zaibatsu. Hey, the best Mishima is in charge now. That means only good things, right? Gameplay wise, this game feels way smoother than 4. Things just feel better. I also didn't spend as much time in this game, only a few hours. But I got so much more done. I beat arcade mode 3 times and played 5 different characters. Now yes, Jin, Steve, and Harong basically know how to do everything already. Well, barely for her wrong. I like him, but I ain't reading all that. And then I played Fang for one reason alone, because he can look like Kiryu. Oddly enough, I had the most fun with Roger Jr., the son of Roger, and his mom's pouch. I don't know why I like this character so much, but the cartoony nature was so much fun. That wind-up punch, I could feel it in my core. I've just gotten a lot better at Tekken, so things are just not as hard. Except that Jinpachi fight. At first, I was like, oh man, I'm sweeping story mode, I got this. And then this man starts stopping my moves, has a half-health laser beam, can do it twice in a row, and if you read it in sidestep, the first one, he has another one. And could basically Akuma slide. And tons of other bullshit. Like, my guy, calm down. But after I luckily put his ass down with Jin, we can now end this era of Tekken and move on to the next era, the PS3, with Tekken 6. Oh god, Jin was not the best option. So, at the end of Tekken 5, we know Jin takes control of the Mishima Zaibatsu, and we think things are going to be great. But with that power, Jin starts World War III. So, Tekken 6 is the first game on the PS3 for Tekken. It takes a lot from 5 and adds or make things better, or sometimes makes things worse. The first big addition is Rage, basically a comeback mechanic. You do more damage at low health percentages. I don't think it really does anything else yet. Also, customization is way goofier with a ton more options. Newbie-wise to Tekken, we have Miguel, whose sister died because, well, Jin starting Armageddon. He has no form of martial arts and just hits people as hard as he can. The main man, Bob, the fastest heavy in the world. Zafina, who is like a keeper of the tomb. And Lars, the main character of the story mode. Also, a legitimate son of Heihachi. Then Elisa Boskanovich, so Dr. Boskanovich's daughter who died, so he makes her a robot. Lastly, Tekken's permanent twink, Leo. Tekken 6 is very big on its story mode, which brings back Tekken Force. I'm gonna be completely honest, I did not beat or enjoy this mode. Yes, it's Tekken Forces, and thankfully not like the Devil Within, more like Tekken 4. But the thing about Tekken Forces is I enjoy it for a little bit, but after a while it starts getting boring to me. Beat this mode to unlock the arcade endings for characters. There's a lot to offer here, and I'm not downplaying how well and what Tekken did with this, but it's not for me, and it just gets a little boring after a little bit. And maybe it might have been better experience if there wasn't a loading screen every 5 seconds. You take a deep breath and there's a loading screen. And I'm not exaggerating. At the beginning of the game, after you fight the Jack, there's a loading screen into a cutscene. And then after that cutscene, there's another loading screen. And after that, there's another cutscene with another loading screen. Half my time playing this mode was just looking at a loading screen. Now, I do enjoy the actual story of this. Lars, a former Tekken Force captain, deserts with another half of the Tekken Force after they kind of realize, hey, maybe what we're doing is wrong. Lars infiltrates a base and finds Elisa Boskanovich, who they thought was dead. She awakens as a robot and helps Lars. They go on some adventures and try to find out about this world destructions, why Jin's causing World War III, and learn about Prophecy of the End. Find out Beast named Azazel, and they make their goal to stop him and Jin. At the very end, Lars thinks he beats Azazel and confronts Jin, asking him why he's doing all this terrible stuff. And Jin says, well, I had to start World War III to awaken Azazel, the source of the Devil Gene. And Lars thought he handled Azazel, but with the Devil Gene can truly defeat Azazel. So, technically Jin wasn't a bad guy. No, we can't say that. Jin was a straight villain. And I don't care. Bro caused World War III, millions of casualties. There is no redemption for this man. Now, the main villain of Azazel, man, fuck him. In arcade mode, he's the final boss, and he's some absolute bullshit. I used Steve to beat him, and what the fuck, you can't even attack him unless it's a counter hit or after an attack. He has hella bullshit like the laser, the Jinpachi block where you can't do shit, and plenty of other moves to fuck you up. He's also 3 times the size of a normal character. But Jinpachi was a bit of a struggle. No, I am lucky to beat this man. Now, the arcade mode is pretty fun. I enjoy the robot boss in the middle, and I'm glad you don't have to beat him to continue. But it seemed very short. You fight 4 battles, then that mini boss, then Jin, then Azazel. Little short for me. And you don't even get the arcade endings. You have to wait till you beat story mode for that. Combat wise, it's the same as 5, but it just doesn't feel as fun. I think the look of the game is throwing me off, and like the sound effects, hitting someone, it just doesn't feel as good as it did in 5. Honestly, probably my least favorite time out of all the Tekken games I've played so far. Now, before I end Tekken 6 off, I know I've been dogging on this game the entire time, but I will give it some props. It's definitely a really good game, and Bandai still put a lot of effort into making Tekken 6. It just seemed a little off for me. Now, the one aspect they did do incredibly in was the music, man. I love Electric Fountain. It is such a good song. It's got me over here jamming like. At best, in this game, I did learn some new combos in the air. Everything's just gotten better. I really didn't play this one that much. I just wasn't enjoying it. Not my favorite Tekken game, but hopefully the next PS3 game is going to look much better. It means we can now talk about Tekken Tag 2. Tekken Tag 2 is the second non-canon game in this series. Thank God I don't have to cover any more Mishima bullshit. The funny thing about Tag 2 is that while yes, from what I see, it's way better than Tekken 6, but it sold worse. And I don't know why. You can play as almost every single Tekken character ever made. Except Gon, of course. Why are you excluding my man like this? And obviously you can't play Azazel, that man is too damn strong and too damn big. But both Jinpachi and Ogre are playable. I don't know why they thought putting these two in were a good idea. There's even some original Tekken Tag characters in this one, like this wrestling girl. Be cool if she one day appeared in a mainline game. People do dislike Tag 2 as there's this mechanic that allows you to extend your combos like an assist and makes for some crazy damage, like insane 75% damage type things. As canonically we do, Paul has to hit like a damn fucking truck. Actually no, in this game he hits like a fucking airplane. But I did find Tag 2 a lot of fun to play, and it does look way better than Tekken 6. They refined what Tekken's supposed to look like on a newer gen console. My first run through, I was like, you know what, let's do this. Let's play boss characters. I ran with Jinpachi and True Ogre. It's fucking wild to play as. I did dislike in the arcade mode every time they would show my rank over the opening animations and there was this coin shit over the closing animations. Like, come on, this is the best part of Tekken Tag, getting to see the character's personality. Why are you showing this fucking rank up scene? But the opening and win animations are so good. My favorite is just the jacks flying off into the distance. There's the kings flexing. Now, most of the time, it is just Mishima's ignoring other characters, but best of all, the boys are back to dancing. Now, arcade mode was pretty easy, especially using Jinpachi and True Ogre. Like, who let these two in the game? Still have all their boss move bullshit like the dash and other grabs. They're a bit slower, but they're still as strong. Now, after making it through a few fights, you fight Jinpachi and Heihachi. I like that they make Heihachi young Heihachi. Now, this was an easy fight because I was using Jinpachi myself. Then we get to fight True Ogre right after that. Man, this is just a Tekken boss rush, and I am so here for it. This fight is not as hard, especially if you're using True Ogre yourself. And then lastly, June? It was a little bit confusing, but she is not easy to beat. No, she was kicking my ass in this. And then after you get one win on her, she turns into unknown. Fuck me. This boss has some absolute bullshit. It's basically just Jun's move list, but with the arms of the OG stand coming out to fuck you up. Summons this pillar of light, and a hand comes out and takes 99% of your health and then tags you out. Now, it is easily avoidable if you backdash or do something else at the same time, but it comes out of nowhere. Now, yes, I have boss moves too, so it's not that big of a deal. Now, next run, I did my old tag team of Jun and Harong, and it went exactly how I thought it would. I learned some Jin combos, and I did some good Harong stuff, but I know these characters, right? They're my bread and butter. Now, I saw Jun in some crazy customization. It just shows how well it goes. It was basically Chainsaw Man Power Ranger, but unfortunately my file got corrupted, so I can't show you Jun Chainsaw Man Power Ranger. The game does also have online mode, and why? Why can I play Jinpachi online? How is this even allowed? And then there's one final mode I would like to talk about today. It is a bit of a tutorial of sorts, but it is really fun, and it's just a Tekken tutorial, so it's great. Called Fight Lab. It also allows you to give Combat certain moves so he's actually playable and not nothing. It does teach you all the mechanics of Tekken, gives fun little challenges like having to do a movement tutorial by fighting Power Ranger wizards who summon chicken. What am I witnessing? And at the end of this, Combat fights the 3 Mishimas, beats them up, Devil Jin shoots his head off, and then Violet, or Lee, 2 personas, blows up the building they're in. I have no words, but this is just what Tekken is. Now, there's not much else to talk about as everything I learned in the Fight Lab. That just lets us move on to the final game for today, Tekken 7. Finally, I have made it to the very last Tekken game before 8. Tekken 7, and man, it has been a journey, but Tekken 7 was part of the reason I'm even making this video in general. It is the latest and most evolved Tekken game, and the most popular by far. The version we're playing is not even the first version. In arcades, there were plenty of versions of Tekken 7 before we got the home release. Now, Tekken 7 is an absolute wild fighting game. There's a few additional new characters, and it has a good amount of DLC, and has spawned millions of great memes. Now, the newbies of Tekken 7 include, first in the base roster we have Kazumi, Heihachi's old wife. Claudio, this man is really cool. He just JoJo poses on you at every opportunity. Then Katarina, Josie, Master Raven, and Shaheem. These guys are cool, but kind of forgettable. Now there is one more new character, Akuma. This man was literally the best character in the game, and he could do all his Street Fighter shit, supers, specials, fucking shoryukens. It's wild he's even in the game, and later, which I will explain, he is incredibly important to the story mode. My man is literally out here doing Raging Demons to Heihachi. Now, his Raging Demon is what's called a Rage Art, the new mechanic to Tekken 7. Rage Arts are basically super moves that take the Rage mechanic from the last game. And sacrifice Rage for a Rage Art, a big cinematic that does heavy damage. Now, the Rage Arts are cool, but I'm gonna be completely honest. This is Tekken's first time doing these, and they just don't look as good. But I know they're gonna look great in Tekken 8. Now, what's even crazier is there's DLC after this. Most of the DLC is just returning characters like Armor King and Lei. Surprising he wasn't in the first game. And then we got 3 newbies like Fakuram, I forget the blonde girl's name, Leroy, the other best character in the game. But what's even wilder is that there's 3 more guest characters. And Tekken doesn't normally do guest characters, so Akuma was already something crazy as it was. And then you put Negan from Walking Dead, Noctis from Final Fantasy 15, and Geese Howard? And each of these were done so much justice. And then there's also that vampire lady from the Tekken mobile game. Combat wise, this game feels great. Every hit feels so strong. You feel absolutely so powerful just playing characters. I played Jin again, of course, and was actually knocking down his combos. I decided this time to play Lee a little bit because I played him in the story mode and I really enjoyed him, and I remember really enjoying him in Tekken 2, so I decided to play him a little bit more. Now on to the story mode, which this is my favorite story mode so far in Tekken. It picks up right after 6, so Jin has now disappeared. The Zaibatsu is losing control, there is no Jin, and Kazuya is taking over G-Corp and fighting back hard. Heihachi, who has been alive this whole time, as we have known, but the public hasn't, and takes control of the Mishima Zaibatsu again. And off rip, like, the first second he's in the seat is like, yep, King of Iron Fist 7. His goal again is, well, to kill Kazuya. Because fuck that. I like how it lets you play multiple characters and it all connects cinematically. Now, I get a lot of people didn't like the narrator. I thought he was alright. I like what it built up to, but I feel like they could have cut a few of his sections. But again, it was still fun. I can't go over the whole story mode, but here's highlights in chronological order. The game makes you throw Kaz off a cliff at start, and, you know, after all I've seen in all the past Tekken games, he kinda deserves it. Akuma pulls up to kill Heihachi, and as Kazumi in the past asked him to do so, we'll learn that later. Heihachi asked Akuma why hasn't he pulled up earlier, and Akuma basically says, "You were not worth my time, you little bitch." The Zaibatsu blows up again, and Heihachi survives. Akuma though then goes to fight Kaz to beat him, but midway through, Heihachi fires a satellite laser beam on Akuma and Kaz. Then they're also looking for Jin, and Lars finds Jin, and in this section, you get to use a gun. My man can deflect RPGs, but decides to use a gun. One other experience I had is when I was fighting Kazuya as Akuma, this man was sugarcoating me. This is medium difficulty. This should not be happening. Then we finally get the backstory of Kazumi. But Kazumi came and said Heihachi was going to be a menace to society in the future. She was not wrong. And goes to kill him. But Heihachi snaps her neck. She is also the one who passed on the devil gene to Kaz. They're trying to make this man look a little bit more sympathetic, but they can't really do that when we know about the shit he did with Jinpachi. Finally get to the final battle of Heihachi and Kaz, and oh, this is so good, so reminiscent of Tekken 2. So much stuff is getting referenced, all the past games and all their stuff, and what an ending. The Kazuya boss is not easy either. Now, it wasn't too hard for me, because I just came from fighting Azazel. Whenever this man is in rage, he gets full armor on everything. And they use my favorite addition to this game perfectly in Tekken 7. When you're on low health, it slows down time between hits. It's so perfect because they make Heihachi on such low health. Now, he does take reduced damage, so it's not like you're dying in one hit. But it makes every moment and every clash feel so special. And the music, Heat Haze, is such a good choice for this final boss. Once we finally hit him, it felt so rewarding. But it still kind of sucks that no matter what, Heihachi loses and gets thrown into a volcano, inversing what happens in Tekken 2. Yeah, but I don't think he's dead. Come on, the Mishimas just don't die. I really did enjoy Tekken 7. They even had my favorite minigame, Tekken Bowling. It's basically just Wii Bowling with Tekken characters. This is the Tekken game I've definitely played the most, and it was well worth it. I wish I kind of got into this series earlier, as it always just seemed like that distant uncle I never talked to. I loved fighting games forever, but Tekken just seemed scary. An extra dimension. These move lists, man. I ain't reading all that. But now that I've actually got in it, it's one of my favorite fighting game series. No, one of my favorite franchises in general. I've learned a lot about how to play this game, and I can even say I have legacy skill. I love the references, like whenever I see a Mokujin, I get hyped. Whenever I hear chicken, that's just incredible. I understand when someone just says, "Oh yeah, what's the Tekken story?" Bro, it's just Tekken. You just gotta watch to understand. Like I just understand the crazy shit now. And if you made it to this like end of the video, thank you for watching. This has been my biggest project ever, reviewing every single Tekken game in this series. About a 50-minute video. It has been a journey. And I hope to see all of you in Tekken 8. And I guess the only thing now is to
get ready for the next battle.